that happened to me that year I went to NAMM, right?
No.
Because I was like a featured artist that year with a company I won't name because they're horrible. But they had a booth set up and all of this stuff, and they're like, oh yeah, we'll have guitars ready for you, so don't even bring your own. And like we'll have all this other stuff set up. I show up to the booth, and it's a small booth. It wasn't like Ormsby or Ibanez or anything. It was like in the bottom level of NAMM where like they just have like tables.
Well, it's very expensive to be at NAMM.
Oh
so
yeah, dude.
No dogging for that. That's not fair.
Well, I dog them for that because the guy's on the run right now for bankruptcy fraud. But he, I'm there and then they're like, oh, we're gonna have you play through this little amp, and it was like a Line 6 thing, which is fine. I like Line 6, but it was like there was no pedals or anything. You just one setting, and then they had so many people playing on it through NAMM, they blew the speaker out of it. So I had to play in like an hour, and they didn't have an amp. And then they plugged me into a Line 6 pod, which was already old. And then they plugged me into just regular speaker monitors.
Right.
And the right one didn't work. So it was everything was coming out of the left monitor. So I had all my backing tracks and my guitar tone all coming through the left speaker here. And it was just literally, and I had people from my hometown, here in Omaha there that were featured artists as well. And I'm standing there and they're all watching me like, oh dude, you got to watch Zach play. And I'm like, I wish you all would leave because this is going to be bad. Like, and then I started sweating, because now you're just like embarrassed. And it was bad, man. It was the worst experience I'd ever had.
Welcome to the music world, man. And how many times Rusty and me, and we've been through that. But sometimes, and even on the gig I just mentioned, sitting there with my fond friend Larry, you just got to do the best you can do because at some point it's like, okay, there's nothing I can do to make the situation any better. Right. But how can I still make some music somehow and survive this and not die?
Well, luckily, as you know, most people don't recognize it.
Yeah. What's that?
I said, as you know, like most people don't recognize it. It's mostly in your head, like all the bad little things that happen.
A lot of it. But in your case, it's tough to play NAMM through a pod through one speaker.
With your backing tracks.
That's already cacophonous.
Yeah.
They're going to hear about 8 other things at once.
Yeah. But I did it.
Yeah.
I did all my songs and got done with it. Yeah, and I did have some redemption because that night they've had a big venue they booked down there in California. And I actually got to play everything as it should have sounded with the right guitar, and it was
cool, man.
It made me feel way better. But sorry, Rusty.
I think people are also.
No, you're good. I was just going to say I had a NAMM experience kind of like that. It ended up being fine, but it's like. I was playing at the Grove. I think it was in Badio, and Laura Wild and Shinedown was headlining and stuff. And PV was supposed to leave me a 6505 plus, right? And I get there and it's a completely different amp. You know what I mean? So it's like, all right, I'm gonna be cool. I'm not gonna be a diva and whine and bitch. Right. Just went in, plugged it in. I didn't say nothing to anybody and just plugged in and did it. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it was fine. It was great, man. It was a good show, and it opened up some doors for me. Just being there, and that's the great thing about NAMM too is you never know who you're gonna meet, or who's gonna see you play or anything else. That
attitude, man, is
that opportunity.
I got to meet both of you.
There you go.
So it was all perfect.
Yeah.
What'd you say?
I saw something
of Stevie Wonder playing at Madison Square Gardens, and it's the last show of the night, Superstition, and he invites Jeff Beck out to play.
Oh, wow.
So it's a really great video, and Jeff, it's kind of one of those things too where like sometimes he plays some stuff that you're not quite sure about, He just does it so authentically, and it's just like, that's badass anyway, you know what I mean? I just totally dig it.
That's a major thing. Did you know that the Superstition was originally written for Jeff? And that was Jeff's drum groove that inspired Stevie to write it. They were in a room together. Jeff got behind the drum kit and played that groove. He wrote the tune, wrote it for Jeff, but the label got wind of it. Stevie's label and said, "No, man, you need to release that."
Yeah.
That's a pretty historic thing that they're playing that tune together.
Yeah, that's wild. Yeah, it was really cool because it was packed, man. As you see all the people at Madison Square Garden.
Oh God, of
course. They start the song right, and they go, "I'd like to welcome Mr. Jeff back to the." And he comes out, and you hear him, hitting the bar and shit. It's rad, man. It's cool footage, man.
I gotta check that. I got 2 YouTubes I gotta check out.
Yeah. No, go ahead, Zach.
I was going to say just real quick about what you said about how not every note was perfect, but it just in the moment it worked and it was all good. Yeah. That's actually this old Japanese saying called wabi-sabi that means perfect in my imperfections.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So
yes.
that's I just right when you said it, I was like, oh my god, I got to look up what that word was because I
hadn't remember the name, but I remember that being a Japanese kind of ethos.
Wabi-sabi.
That's a very healthy mindset.
Yeah.
Imperfections, impertinent, and incomplete. It's the minimalist of conscious choice.
Yeah.
There you go.
So that's cool.
It's good to remember, yeah.
You know, and speaking about some of the things we were talking about just a second ago, like, you know, I think it's important for younger artists to learn these things, you know what I mean? Because I know personally, it's like learn how to make a mistake and learn how to take a compliment, you know what I mean?
Yes.
When I was younger, if I made a mistake, one mistake, it didn't matter. I got off stage, I was in a bad mood. If somebody tried to compliment me, I was like, oh no, my performance sucked. And I just look like a dumbass, you know what I mean? You know, if somebody's going to come up to you and genuinely compliment you, you need to just say thanks, whether you liked your performance or not, you know? And then if you make a mistake, it's how you react. If you act all freaked out, then people are going to see it and they're going to know it.
Yeah.
And if you just kind of shrug it off or don't even act like it happened, they might not even know it was you. They might think it was the bass player.
That's the joke I always make about doing the playing with backing tracks. You can't turn around and blame the drummer.
Right.
What was that?
Yeah, your blame shifter doesn't
Rusty,
work.
that's actually great advice for everybody. And I'm taking it in because sometimes I have a hard time taking a compliment too.
Yeah.
Well, and for those reasons, we put so much pressure on ourselves.
Yeah.
Clearly, that's how you became the amazing player that you are, Rusty. Nobody told you had to do this, but you have this vision of what you think you should sound like, and you're not going to accept anything below that.
Right.
But that can be unhealthy too. And I kind of recognized it later in my life where it's like that pressure was always on.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it can make you unhappy because how can you possibly ever achieve this magical vision you may have of what's possible? But that's also what drives us to get to the level, that we're at now and want to achieve in the future. So it's a delicate balance, but what you're saying is so spot on and so important for younger players to recognize because they're seeing all these, players on social media and these incredibly technical, perfect things, but it's not necessarily reality, or not every performance is like that. It might have taken them 100 takes to get it to that point, or whatever the case may be. Same with women looking at all the photoshopped models and stuff. Like, how can I possibly live up to this? What's the same musically for us musicians, right?
Sure. Yeah. Well, I've got something that I've talked to Rusty about multiple times where, if he's having a bad day or I'm having a bad day, we're just texting or talking and stuff. Yeah. We take it so personal because, like, when I'm having a bad guitar day, like if I'm not playing right or something's not clicking, I'm probably just having a bad day in general. Like, because it's such an important part of my life that it's like, I'm not just like, today I can just not play and I'll be all right. But it's like, no, I'm probably upset about something else or something's just not happening. It's so personal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's just important.
I've recognized that sometimes when I'm having that bad guitar day, that becomes the reason I'm having a bad day. And that's not healthy. Like I find that if I play well, I'm in a good mood. If I don't, I'm not. And it's like,
that's because it's so much of your day.
Well, it's so much of your day, but it's also so much. Maybe Rusty can identify with this, and Zach, I don't know, but it's so much a part of my identity that I feel like, I don't. Yesterday doesn't matter. I can't control what's going to happen tomorrow. But if I'm not playing well right now, it's like it doesn't matter if I played great 20, 30 years ago or 5 days ago. Man, right now I suck, and this is horrible.
Yeah. Dude, I got goosebumps that you said that. Like, it's such a part of your identity.
Yeah,
that's it.
That it really is, and so, but that's my fault. That's my fault for that being that important. You know, that it's
or having it affect you that way.
Yeah, because I'm a human being. I'm a dad. I'm a husband. There's other things I have in my life, but this has been the focus of nearly
a lot of your life,
every year of that existence. So I'm only saying this maybe it'll help somebody realize that you're not alone, man. This is like something, and I think of any player you could ever think of would admit the same things. Like, man,
absolutely.
If I'm sounding bad right now, it doesn't matter what happened.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, no matter what compliment I receive from somebody, in the end of the day, I still know what I sound like. You know what I mean?
That's right.
So in that
that's
situation,
absolutely
thank you,
right.
but I know what I need to work on, and